14 Jays had been built to pull the crack passenger trains of the Norfolk and Western, like the Powhatan Arrow on her 680-mile run on the main line between Norfolk and Cincinnati. Norfolk and Western had well anticipated the increased passenger traffic generated by World War II, with one of the most marvelous passenger locomotives of all time. Through the coal fields of the Virginias, where the major source of traffic and revenue for Norfolk and Western was mined, by 1953, Jays were hauling 84% of Norfolk and Western's passenger traffic. Over the N&W Main, that some called a roller coaster, 611 and her 13 sisters averaged over 15,000 miles a month, and 250,000 miles between classified repairs. Several of the Jays ran up almost 3 million miles before retirement. Although her modern self-lubricating systems eliminated most stops for lubrication, a Jay could burn 6½ tons of coal and evaporate almost 100,000 pounds of water an hour. The 35-ton tender was usually refilled at Pritchard on the Norfolk to Cincinnati runs. At Portsmouth, Ohio, the Jay passes a freight car being motion weighed and gravity sorted in the freight classification yards. 611 and her 13 sisters could also be seen heading joint Norfolk and Western and Southern passenger trains like the Pelican, the Birmingham Special, and the all-silver Tennessean to and from our nation's capital. With their 70-inch driving wheels, large 27-inch cylinders, and 80,000-pound tractive effort, the Jays pulled the Powhatan Arrow over 3 mountain ranges at an average speed of almost 45 miles an hour. Arriving at the station in Cincinnati, this Jay will be quickly serviced and refueled for the return trip to Norfolk. She will be turned on the table and pull the eastbound Cavalier or the overnight run of the Pocahontas back to Roanoke. To maintain high speeds of over 100 miles an hour without rail damage, engineers had designed the Jays with stiffer trucks, sacrificing some maneuverability. On January 23, 1956, Engine 611 leading the westbound Pocahontas entered the restricted curve at Tug River. With her stiffened trucks and 7-foot-high center of gravity, she derailed, leaping over the eastbound main with her tender and lead cars. The engineer was killed, 8 crew members and 51 passengers injured. After extensive repairs at Roanoke, 611 was returned to service in places like Canova, where the borders of Kentucky, Ohio, and Virginia come together. Class J number 611, 612, and 613, built for $250,000 each, would be the last passenger steam locomotives built for American railroads. Returning to Roanoke, the Jay passes through an N&W coal yard. Norfolk and Western freights hauled more tons per mile than any U.S. railroad of equal or greater size. So well built are these 484s, the typical locomotive running at speeds up to 100 miles an hour would experience, on the average, only 3 broken stay bolts a year. In order for the modern steam locomotive to fulfill the N&W commitment to high availability, a complete self-lubricating system was built in. After being rotated on the turntable, this Jay will be inspected, have its ashes dumped, and be washed before heading for the service shed. Norfolk and Western was the first American railroad to install modern centralized servicing facilities. In the longhouse, or lubritorium, refilling the lubing system begins. This Jay's mechanical lubricators supply 208 different points on the locomotive and tender. Pressure grease fittings lube 72 points, while the valve oil lubricators provide for 12 other high-temperature points. The refilling system is so cleverly designed that the slip fittings of the lubricant supply hoses will attach only to the appropriate locomotive reservoir. 1 hour after her arrival, the J has been serviced, filled with coal, water, and sand, and is ready for another run. But time is quickly running out on the J's. Built in a year when 4 out of every 7 rail passengers were moved by diesel power, and the N&W was spending $1.55 for every passenger dollar it took in, 611 seemed doomed from the start. On October 24, 1959, barely escaping the scrapper's torch, she headed an NHRS excursion out of Roanoke, her last passenger trip for more than 20 years.